What's up everyone, welcome back to ARTV. My name is John and it's time for another episode of Rapid Reviews, the show where I put 60 seconds on the clock and I tear through my thoughts on new release singles, EPs, and albums. Be sure to check out the links in the description down below because I have all of the singles and albums that I'm covering in today's episode linked so that you can check them out and stream them for yourself. I always recommend that you do so because at the end of the day, it's all just my opinion. Anyways, if you would like to, then please help out by leaving a like on the video. It goes a long way, especially with this series. It's harder for YouTube to put rapid reviews in the recommended algorithm or whatever just because I can't put all of the titles of everything that I'm covering in the actual title of my video, so a like goes a long way. And outside of that, please subscribe if you happen to be new, and let's get into the rapid reviews. Leading off our episode today is Matt KEREKES, known as the lead vocalist of the band Citizen, who I've really gotten into in the past few years, but I've also been introduced to his solo material. My girlfriend is super into him, and I have to say, this new record, Ruby, is pretty fantastic. I love the kind of singer-songwriter aesthetic that this one is giving off. It's got some fantastically penned tunes, like Spider Silk, which really kind of takes on a different zone for Matt in general. I loved the lead single, the title track, Ruby. That just has an eminent flow to it. It's something that's catchy, but also warm at the same time, and that's the feeling that I get from this overall full-length album. It's a warm embrace. It feels a little bit happier. It's also very real, just kind of on the nose. I love the musing style of this album, and I would definitely check it out. It gets a recommendation from me. I'm giving this a 4. Poppy's career trajectory is really just blowing my mind a little bit. Like, I'm not entirely certain where she's headed, but this new track, Scary Mask, features fucking Fever 333 on it. And after on her last record, Am I a Girl, she had the tracks X and Play Destroy featuring Grimes, she had that heavy metal leaning vibe, which is just so unexpected in a lot of ways, but it was oddly satisfying. Throw that in an oddly satisfying compilation. And this new track, Scary Mask, was written after she literally wore a scary mask to the AMAs last year. And now we've got a song about how she's trying to cover up and stay away. And then you've got Jason Butler from Fever 333 screaming about, "You heard the woman, stay away." This track is wild. I love it for what it is. It just has an unbalanced energy to it, back and forth between soft, hard, screaming in your face, and also the cutest thing in the world. It's a 4 for me. Acclaimed indie band Remo are back with their sophomore effort after their acclaimed debut Greatest Hits, which is a bold title to start off with. It makes it kind of hard to follow up when you open up with the title like that. I loved that record. It was one of my favorites of 2017, but this was more of a summer bummer. Natural Everyday Degradation came out on Epitaph Records. It kind of seemed like a big break for the band, but it's more of a summer bummer. This is a slow churning album that doesn't have much in the way of progression or variety. The vocals are pretty nasally throughout, and I feel that I'm noticing it more from Eric on this release, unfortunately, because the songs aren't there like they were the first time around to actually back it up or carry some sort of weight. I mean, there's great songs on here. I love $2. I thought Around the Sun was pretty great. Halos is a nice track. There's some weird choices that are made throughout, maybe production and vocal-wise, but overall, I'm just unfortunately not truly on board with this one. It's getting a light 3. Punk-influenced rock band Boston Manor from the UK are continuing to kill it. They've got a new track out featuring John FLOREANI of Trophy Eyes fame. It's called Liquid, and it's extremely good once again. It has a really catchy refrain and chorus, kind of a sticky atmosphere that I can easily slip into, and I like how it kind of uses liquid as the theme for being able to shapeshift, transform, whether that be a good or bad thing. John actually adds a lot to this track. I like the supercharged guitars, the drumming that kicks this thing off, and even the skittering beat during the bridge is something that's not a deal breaker by any means at all. It's a perfect 5 for me. Please go check out this song. Florida rapper Denzel Curry has a new tape out. It feels more like a mixtape, that is, rather than a studio album, but it's short, it's sweet, it goes down smooth, it's got a lot of banging production on it and some great flows and rhymes from Denzel. There's tracks that aren't that great and do feel kind of dumb. They get on my nerves a little bit, like Shake 88 in particular. I really hate the hook on that one, just aggravating. But outside of that, I mean, there's a surprisingly good Rick Ross feature here. There's some really good songs like Wish, and Ricky was a great lead single. I really like Tate Keith coming together to produce this track Automatic, which does have a really nice swerving flow to it. Overall, this is definitely not on the same level as Taboo, but it's not meant to be. So in the meantime, I'll take what we get, a light 3.5. Alternative rock band Citizen have a new track Big Mouth out, which is surprising considering Matt KEREKES, the lead singer of Citizen's solo album Ruby, just dropped, but I'll take what we're given. This song didn't grip me right away. It's one of those songs that maybe takes just a bit too long to actually get to what it's going to get to, like a roller coaster that's continuously going up. And not that it's that long of a wait, it just feels like there would be a little bit of payoff sooner. But once it finally does kick in those guitars, the drums, there is a nice looping bass that kind of kicks this off, a nice bass riff. But still, once it finds its footing, this song actually does have a lot of power to it. And Big Mouth, take that how you will, a political statement because of the head honcho that it seems to be talking about. I totally get what they're going for on this one, and while it doesn't entirely hit me musically, I'm still excited to see what they'll do. This of course was not from the As You Please sessions according to the band, so maybe a new album on the way? This track's getting a 3.5. One of the year's best records has come in the form of Titanic Rising by singer-songwriter Weyes Blood, aka Natalie Mering. This is a singer-songwriter that I had never listened to before, and with this record, I'm hooked. I need to check out the rest of her discography. Her voice reminds me of Karen Carpenter in a way. It's soothing, but this album also has a lot of haunting underlying themes. And there's so much packed in here. It's only like 42 minutes long across 10 tracks, but the ones that really jump off the page, they do so in a myriad of different ways. Her voice propels them, but also the instrumentation, which ranges from kind of a Baroque sensation to also a little bit more spacey out there, progressive pop. It's not your typical indie flair. And between Mirror Forever, which I adore lyrically, Andromeda, which is just a miracle in song form, and so many of the others, you have to hear this record. It's a strong 4.5, and I think you'll be seeing it year-end season from me. I'm gonna keep it real with you guys. I have never in my life watched Game of Thrones, nor have I been interested in watching Game of Thrones, and apparently after the way that the series ended, maybe I'm glad I didn't waste my time there, apparently. Matt Bellamy had a song from the Season 8 soundtrack, though. It's called Pray, and I know that maybe I'm not qualified to review this really, if it has something to do with the series, considering the parentheses on this track. I kind of feel like it does, but it's giving me Origin of Symmetry vibes, which I do dig. I like Matt Bellamy a whole lot. I love Muse, so why wouldn't I at least enjoy this a little bit? So I'm going to be cautious here and say 3.5 because maybe I'm not getting everything about it, but I enjoy it for what it is. Halsey has a new single out and it's actually pretty good. It's called Nightmare and it follows up Without Me, which was a really catchy song, an earworm that I didn't necessarily expect. A lot of people didn't care for it, but I honestly really grew to love that track. And Nightmare is something that interpolates the song All the Things She Said by Tattoo, a song that I've known forever. It's not like super obvious most of the time, but still kind of a weird sample choice. I do love the song's chorus. That is easily the best aspect of Nightmare. It really just lights up, and that's what I want to see more of in pop music, more of an explosion. It should pop off. That's what pop music should be, not this watered down thing that Halsey's been doing a lot of the time and a lot of the industry has. It worked on Without Me, but this track actually goes off. It has genuine anger to it, and while it does feel a bit preachy, I also understand because of men telling women what to do with their bodies, it makes no sense. So this track, Nightmare, 3.5 for me. Mark Ronson and CABELLO teamed up for a single from his upcoming album Late Night Feelings. This is called Find You Again. Apparently CAMILA had some of these lyrics penned dating back to when she was 16 years old, calling herself a hopeless emo romantic for life. This track definitely has a longing feeling to it. You can definitely feel that there's some sort of sentiment that she wants to kind of crawl into your heart, under your skin, and say, this is the romance that I was feeling. The heartbreak, for better or for worse, the good times and the bad. This song has some interesting vocal melodies on it that I do really like. The second verse with the vocoded section is an interesting choice. I think it's growing on me. Overall, I'm interested to see what his album, Mark Ronson's that is, turns out to be, with a lot of collaborations, a lot of different voices. This track is only the second one that I've actually heard after Nothing Breaks Like a Heart. Not quite as great as that one, but still, CAMILA holds her own on this one. 3.5 for me. Now, a band that changed things up and it actually worked out pretty well for them would be CHARLY BLISS. I loved their debut album, Guppy, and this is a very strong follow-up on Young Enough. It's an album that tackles relationships through the guise of the 80s. I would say that it has its ups and downs in terms of like the relationship, the emotions, and I will say it's a bit inconsistent in tone, but it really doesn't stop me from enjoying this project. I think I'm really fascinated by tracks like Blown to Bits. The title track is just really something that pulls at you. I love that one. Fighting in the Dark, the track that leads into that perfectly. I do think my only complaint, a few of the tracks, they needed a little bit of extra guitar oomph to actually make them go off, and that's the title track included. But still, there's so many fascinating moments here, like Camera, Under You, I would say Chat Room as well. And my overall favorite on the project, Capacity, the lyrics on that track are so good. I can't keep myself afloat, I'm not saving you. Overall, this is getting a strong 3.5. Apparently everyone is back and raving about Madeon because he's made his grand return to music. The electronic music producer started off pretty young. He released his debut album Adventure, which I loved, and this new track is called All My Friends, which triggers me just slightly considering that hellish nightmare that I know by Owl City, but it's just the same title, nothing else. Madeon actually sings on this track, which is a nice turn of events. I mean, he's got a pretty decent voice. My only problem here is that I feel everybody's kind of maybe overhyping this a bit because it's his return to music, and I don't blame you for being excited. I am too. This song is just kind of a summery type vibe, and it feels a little bit too washed out in places. It feels slightly memorable, but also forgettable in other aspects. The production is okay. I just don't think it's anything super noteworthy. I'm going with a light 3.5 here. Cheers to those of you who made it to the end of this episode of Rapid Reviews. Please drop a like on it if you haven't done so already, and check out the last episode right over here. Keep in mind that I'm not reviewing as many individual albums this year for my own personal sanity, and I'm using Rapid Reviews as a vehicle to still get out thoughts to you. Outside of that, please connect with me on social media if you feel so inclined. All of the links are down below, and I'll see you soon for more on ARTV.